Hello and welcome to an overview of the new Mimic social media. My name is Nick Matar and I've got a screen share set up here where we're going to revisit Mimic Social. It's much different than the past, and I have reviewed this before, and it's one of my more popular posts and videos. So I figured now is a good time to revisit it. So that's what I am doing here today. Um, Now, when I look at Mimic Social and how it works in the grander scheme of things, this is designed to be a program, a real world situation where you, as the social media coordinator, manager, whatever you would call it, um, are put in a position to share content on social media with the ultimate goal of having social media leading to revenue. Now, I will say this is probably my favorite simulation, besides my own, of course, which is content marketing. Um, However, I do think there are some elements of it that are a little unrealistic, such as the fact that you can generate a ton of revenue out of social media. Having said that, the larger concept in the case in point still remain, and I think they are largely pretty successful. And before we really get going here, there are three big points to remember. One, you want to make decisions based on the data. There's a lot of data to see both before you begin creating posts and after you create posts. That data is not there randomly. It is there to help inform you of your strategy. Now, the second big point is to make sure to understand your audience. There are a couple of buyer personas that we're going to look at here in a moment, and it's important to create content with a persona in mind. Just creating content that you think looks good or sounds like it would be, on brand. That's how a lot of people go through social media these days. That is not going to cut it. Might get you some minimal results, but it will not get you the numbers that you're probably hoping for. And then third is to make sure to create more than one piece of content uh, per channel per round. There's a lot of different networks you can use, a lot of different channels on social media. Just doing one, kind of the bare minimum, is not going to be enough. This is not something I originally agreed with, but over the past, I don't know, 12, 18 months, I have seen on social media, even in the real world, that to an extent, quantity can overtake quality if the quality is already inherently there. Hard to believe, I know. But those three concepts and best practices when it comes to social media, I think are very well founded here in this simulation. And we're going to do a quick walkthrough of the first section, which is all about organic posting. Now, as we begin here, you'll see there's a bunch of different rounds. There's four different sections. Um, we're only going to go through the first three rounds today. I'll go through the other rounds in later videos. But we start here with the introduction. You're going to go through all of this here, and eventually, you see here. Okay, great. You move on to the next section, which is your inbox. Here, you're going to learn all about the company Bowie. They sell backpacks and the like. There's a lot of things like this as you go round by round. It is important. I will say the introduction is kind of straightforward. There's not much there. You learn about the company here, their core values. You can see a little bit about what those are. And then the market information, I think, is probably the most important piece of the introduction. You can go back to some of these. So it's not like you have to jot down all these notes and you'll never see them again. Um, the market information is largely available to you as you go along. There's a product line. There are a lot of them. There used to only be three, I believe, and now there's a ton. Then if you look at the market, these are your personas. There are 7 of them. Now, you don't need to memorize these. Again, you can get back to them later, but it is important just to know kind of their differences, what kind of content they consume. It is important to know the income, I guess, based on the price of the backpack, but um, the interest summary, like this piece right here, is important, and so is the percent of the market. Like hipster mommy is only 7%, so you're not going to get a ton, but she does have a higher income. Like, there's a give and a take there. Now, the other thing to realize too and to understand is you'll want to look back at the courseware if you're using it to understand what the typical social network usage is of these different groups. Um, the courseware looks at all of them. I mean, most of them you can probably figure out if you're doing this simulation. You probably have a good idea. You'll understand that back to school Mindy and energetic Jill might not use Facebook, whereas hipster mommy Cammy, maybe City Hopper Sue, and Seaside Sally are a little bit more Facebook inclined. You're probably going to want to look at more of the more recent, something like Instagram, TikTok, or the others for these younger audiences. Once you're done with the introduction, again, they'll be available to you later. They're here on the side, as you can see. You'll have a video to watch. We're not going to watch it here. You go through the assignments that they have. You have little messages from your inbox, which is fine. You do get some additional research and some social media audits from Buoy. And in the audits, and I kind of skipped ahead back at the introduction. And when they look at the audits, they're looking at their social media channels in terms of how they're performing. And you'll see all these metrics. They aren't all super important. I will say when it comes down to the scoring of the simulation, the number one KPI they utilize is revenue. So that is a good one to look at, but then so too are these other numbers. You don't want to totally ignore them, but remember, I mean, it's kind of a matching game here. You want to make sure that when you're creating content for a specific audience, that the age group of the persona and the gender ratio is matching up with the page and the account. Like this is Facebook, and then you go over to TikTok, and it's a little bit different. You don't really need to know this trend over time. Obviously, the revenue is nice here for TikTok, but that's good to know. We'll talk about the budget in a moment. But anyways, you go to round one. You're going to go through these various exercises. In the notifications hub, this is more of like maybe not a quiz, but they're asking you questions. What is a persona? And then you go customer persona, and then click the right definition. And then you'll go through. I don't want to like give these away. But whatever. Okay. And there's messages from all four of these people. This isn't like DMs or anything. This is just notifications from other people in the company. Then at the bottom is when you create your organic social media posts. Now, it's important to remember that this is organic social media, not paid. In the original Mimic, they kind of combined the budget for creating content and promoting it. Now they are distinctly separate types of rounds. So that $500 that you have is to create content and assets for your posts. Now, you got to remember, first off, what is the length of a round? And also, how much content are you expected to create? When you create the content, it's not going to mirror exactly the platforms, but they all work pretty much the same. So say, you want to, you're going to be creating content here again with the idea of you want to sell products and you're trying to drum up interest, and you're going to be writing content specifically for your personas. You don't just want to write general posts. You are going to be writing with a purpose. And when you do that, generally you'll look at the inbox and see what they want you to do. Now, when you look through here, you say, okay, they'll be supporting with the media library. Here's some reports. That's all great. You'll go through here. You go. It's a nice little quiz thing. What was it? Was it in this scenario? Yeah. Then you'll look in here. But we want you to use social media marketing to renew interest in its OG bag line and to identify the optimal target audience for OG products. So let's do that. you have all of your resources here. You can take a look at those. I won't be able to download these because I'm only sharing one screen at a time. And then from there, you're going to want to create your content. Again, I'm not going to go through actually create it, but this is where you'll type in your post. You don't want to be overly promotional. Again, I'm not going to go through and like give the answers here, but the OG product line, or we'll start with the media first. Say we're on Facebook. You want to add some sort of imagery. I will say most posts that you're going to create should have some sort of media with them. So it's important to understand that, because remember, when there's $500 in your entire budget, you don't want to use half of it on one photo. So you're pretty limited. I typically try to spend no more than $50 on any given photo. I usually will split up the budget. I'll say, okay, depending on what the content is, I can spend a little bit more, but they're not going. I will say the algorithm isn't going to like completely crush you if you take a free image. Now, I will say, if you take the photo of this woman here, this content better be written for an audience that sees themselves in this person. So Daypacker Tom probably is not going to get much out of this photo. On the other hand, Back to School Mindy, or whatever her name was, or Sue, or I don't remember, is gonna do much better. By that same token, this is probably more for Daypacker Tom, because this is more adventure and exciting. Well, it's $125, so I don't really want to spend that much, but you can see what I mean. You want the content and the media to also communicate something about the brand to your specific persona. As you're going as well, there are going to be different campaigns, different plans, different goals that they have for you. So keep that in mind as you go through the scenario and you watch the video. There's a ton of photography here. Just one other quick thing here. Once you've purchased something, you're good. You can use it again. I believe these are advertisements. And by advertisement, it's not like a paid post, but it's like a graphic that is promoting, that essentially acts as an advertisement. You don't want to overdo these. If all of your posts have these kinds of graphics, you're not going to get anywhere. You'll get a little bit, but the goal is to be kind of following the rule of thumb, 20% self-promotional, 80% more value driving, value creation. So, for every 5 posts, I'd say use one of these. And there are 2 sections like this. I'm not really sure what that is, but you can also, promote other types of content here. This is not really for you right now in terms of the blogs. But then you can also look at the different types of images. For me, when I would go through and create these, first off, I tend to stick with with photos, with images up front. And again, some of them get really pricey. You can spend a little bit, but you don't want to spend too much, considering you only have $500 for the entire round. I don't want this guy though, because he's too expensive. So I'm going to go back to the free photo that had the student. After you type in your text, the OG line is perfect for the back to school crowd. That's not what full text post should read, but whatever. You keep going, schedule it for whenever. Look at your round is only 1 week. Probably don't want to do it at midnight, so I'm going to put this at 10:30 a.m. Cool. Schedule that. Now remember, after you press schedule post, you can go back and edit them later. So you can create as many as you want. Say you want to go to the gram, probably want to put in some more effort here on the photography. Say you're say we are all in on the back to school woman. Probably not the mom post. You want to find something. I think you can search, can't you? Yeah, you can, right? So if you search school, you see all the school photos. A lot of them are parents and little kids, but then you have people, okay, back to school content, whatever. And then you write the post underneath. Back to school with Louis. I'm just, again, just making this up. This is not what the text should actually read. That is for you to do. Then you go and schedule this. You already have one there. So the little one, say I want to post it also on Wednesday, but I'm going to post this a little bit later in the day. Say I want to post it at 3:30 p.m. And then you'll see they start to get listed here. You want to go through and you want to create. I recommend at least 2 posts per channel. I would recommend probably 3 or 4 to be safe. And that's really just for round 1, because you'll see here as you go through the rounds that performance will dictate your what comes next. So let's go on to, I'm just, you want more than 2. I'm just running it for, you do want to do that. Fine. You do want to use all your budget, but I'm just doing this for information purposes here as a test. They go through the round, you go to the next results, you can watch a little video about it, and you can see your responses. So again, I did not go through I didn't walk through the process of determining the best target audience here, but you do need to figure out when you watch the video, who is the OG line for, and create that. So you'll see I only had a couple of posts. These are all of my numbers. Now, what you need to do here is to look at the posts and see if they worked. I got 10 conversions and $400 out of this post. Okay, cool. You'll notice I didn't get, did I get more? What did I get here? I did. I got 17 out of the Instagram post, which is pretty wild. Made $680 on the Instagram post. So now you can see what the performance was like on the various channels. Remember to click these various buttons. Then you can let that help tell you what to do for the next round. If it's clear that this one did well, this Facebook post, hey, I didn't spend any dollars. I brought in $400 for this. Then you probably want to do something similar for the next round. Post it around the same time. You probably want to, maybe you don't want to use the same photo or the same text, but you want to go after the same target. And, you want to repeat what works for you, just, varying it enough so that the audience is going to continue to derive some value from it. That is how, that's what you really want to do with this, is you want to take a look at your conversions and your revenue, see what's working, what are the kinds of reactions and engagements that are going. Because then you get to round 2, you have a $500 budget again, and you go through the same thing. There are some things that are a little bit different here. The little message will say something slightly different, but you can keep going through the rounds. And so once you get through that, you go through 3 rounds of organic social posts, and you will be accumulating some money, some revenue, all those different KPIs. When you're done with that, then you're going to go into round 4, the paid social media posts, which is for the next video. Just to wrap things up here on the first round, let's see here. I just want to make sure that I am sharing all of the materials up front that that are good to know, but that's pretty much it. Good number of posts. Let the data drive your decision making, and be creating content for a specific audience. You want to make sure that your audience is feeling like the content or the content resonates with them. You don't want to just do generic stuff. You don't just want to do, sales promotions all the time. They will tell you occasionally in one of these rounds, oh, we have a promotion going on, if you can post about that. But yeah, the more posts, the better. You don't want to do 100 posts per round. That's not necessary. I would say grand total anywhere between 20 and 40 posts per round is probably going to be ideal. I've never seen anybody do more than like 50, but there are some diminishing returns over time. So yeah, check it out. And I'll be interested to hear your feedback. Again, I've only gone through this twice myself. So I'm seeing, and so, as students go through these, it's always interesting to see the variety of content that is, that's submitted. and the variety of results, because it is designed to be as realistic as possible. And I think it is, with the exception of, a single Instagram post doesn't usually lead to hundreds of dollars, but the fact remains that as a driver of brand awareness, at least, the type of content that does well here is going to do well in the real world as well.